And welcome back. We're moving into yet another engagement with a community group. And we're joined by Yaaxche to talk about their Farmers Expo. And joining us on set, we have Maximiliano Cal, Marketing and Communications Officer. And we also have the Community Outreach and Livelihoods Director, Julio Chub. Good morning and welcome to the show.
All right, and of course you guys have your Farmers Expo coming up, but before we get into that, let's just talk about what has been happening in terms of the work of Yaaxche.
Yeah, definitely. So Yaaxche, the word Yaaxche is a Mopan word. It means the saber tree. It's deeply engraved in the Maya cosmovision, which connects the underworld with the heavens. And after Hurricane Iris in 2001, it was one of the few remaining trees that were left standing within our area. And ever since we began in 1998, the significance of Yaaxche, being the name of the organization, was impactful for us. And we realized that it had connections with the people that we work with. We manage 3 protected areas in the south. One is the Golden Stream Corridor Preserve. It's 15,000 acres. This is an area that is critical in terms of connectivity of the Maya Mountains to the coastal area. So the animals, they could migrate between this passage. So one of the limiting factors is the highway. It cuts through forest. So protecting Golden Stream Corridor Preserve is more important than ever for us. So that's one of the main eye that we're keeping on Golden Stream Corridor Preserve. We also co-manage Bladen Nature Reserve on behalf of the government. It's 100,000 acres. It has a lot of plant diversity, one of the highest in Central America. We did some assessment in there. It's important for us a water catchment, which supplies water to communities downstream and eventually into the Belize Barrier Reef. We also last year received co-management of Maya Mountain Earth Forest Reserve. It's 36,000 acres. It's a different category of protected area that we're talking about here. Certain activities are allowed. But
you are moving into farming in that area, right?
Yes, we have a concession within the area. And so with these 3 protected areas and focusing on the watershed and integrating the local communities, the private landowners, the protected areas we manage, we created an area called the Mayaguanan Landscape. It's about 770,000 acres, and that is our focal area, the area of our work. And within this, these protected areas, we do a lot of enforcement. So making sure that communities, the rules of the protected areas are being followed through. We do a lot of research as well. We have rangers, we call them parabiologists. They have not gone as far as high school, but they are able and capable to go into remote areas of the protected areas which we manage and are able to do assessment. They can do assessment in terms of botany, fresh water, birds and mammals. So these rangers, they play an important role within Yaaxche, and that's one of our major output every year is that we create a biodiversity synthesis report, which summarizes the impact of our work within these protected areas. And part of our work as well is working with communities. We realized since 1998 that we cannot put a black eye on the community and say, okay, we're going to put a wall around protected areas. We know that they play an integral role in managing protected areas. So we created a program called the Community Outreach and Livelihoods Program, which Julio is the director of the program. So within this program, we work closely with these 10 communities that I mentioned. Within the Mayaguanan Landscape, we do lots of education and outreach work. You do
a lot of education on sustainable farming practices as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. In addition to that as well, we do build capacity of local leaders, Maya leaders within the area. We build the capacity of women. We support them in their local enterprises as well. And a major part of our work has to do with farmers because they have the tendency to change the landscape And because, as I mentioned, that we are trying to connect forests together, and in that way we are working with farmers to adopt practices that sort of simulate what happens into the forest. So that's why we do cacao-based agroforestry, we do ingali cropping system, we do beekeeping, is sort of to protect these areas that provides for us for clean air, clean water, replenishment of livestock within community lands, and wild animals within the area.
I was going to ask about that. What's a wildlife? I mean, we had some amazing photos of jaguars and birds up just now. How healthy is the wildlife population in the areas that you co-manage?
So just recently we received some photographs from camera traps. These cameras we set out into the forest within areas that we think that are of interest to us, that we want to see what's happening within the area. So interestingly, we caught two jaguars in camera traps. It's not a trap, it's just a camera. It's called a camera trap.
They trigger the camera.
It's a sensor, and it's a good way for us to see what's happening on the workplace and what's happening in the field. But yeah, in terms of the wildlife health, last year the previous year in our biodiversity synthesis report, we saw that there was an increase of game meat within community lands. We could attribute it to the role of protected areas, but we cannot make that solid conclusion. But we do have some impact in terms of protecting these areas and having a direct benefit for communities. But yeah, the populations of jaguars, they seem healthy. Interestingly, in terms
that
of
one loves a selfie, doesn't it?
and
right into the camera.
Interestingly as well, they do ID of these jaguars based on the patterns of their coat. They are unique. They are like the fingerprint of humans. So yeah, in terms of the conservation work, that's what we do. In terms of working with communities, we integrate both. We realize that we cannot do one without the other.
What's the impact of the completion of the road through the area? Because where it was unpaved for quite a while, at least the last 10 miles, people had to slow down and they had to be able to kind of take their time passing through. Is there a difference now in terms of how you monitor activity, especially with the vehicular traffic passing through?
Yeah, so part of our monitoring that we had established, I think since 2008, is that we created a strategy in terms of monitoring wildlife, and part of it had to do with monitoring traffic. So a key output we wanted to understand from that is what are some of the species of animals that are getting hit by vehicles. And we knew at that time that there was going to be the upgrade of the highway as well, and we wanted to see the increases of whether if there's an increase or an impact on the wildlife based on the vehicles that pass. But we have seen a slight increase in the number of traffic, but as soon as I think the area in Yaaxche opens up with Guatemala, I think we're going to get lots more traffic within the area, and that's one thing that we probably will be focusing a lot in the future, is that we need to let people know that we are creating this corridor to be mindful whenever you drive through.
That it's a highway that's passing through a protected area.
Now, Julio, let's talk a little bit about the livelihoods aspect of what Yaaxche does.
Good morning. Basically, Max has touched a little bit, and of course, we can't lack the resources, and then depend and say, okay, communities can go and look after the resources and understand basically how resources needs to be taken care of. However, in terms of looking at the community outreach and livelihood, we have been engaging farmers, 120 farmers in cacao-based agroforestry, coffee-based agroforestry. We have 18 beekeepers who have been doing honey extraction just recently. This week and last week, there were at least 200 pounds of honey, extracted from the hives that they started off with. And we are happy because, farmers do require that alternative income, not just only depending on the annual crop, such as corn, beans, rice, but also be able to get that additional income from environmental friendly practices. The event, which is the Yaaxche Farmers Expo, which we are inviting everybody to come along to on the 17th of April, which is this Sunday, starting at 9 in Golden Stream Village. We are basically joining force with the PTA of the village to fundraise for their school and also fundraise for their community projects. During that event, we are building awareness mainly towards better fire management. And as
why fire management?
In the MGL where we work, or in the 9 communities in the MGL, a lot of fire. MGL is the Maya Golden Landscape, yeah. And within that area, we have a lot of farmers that use the fire as a way of cleaning their area quickly at minimal cost. And of course, without looking and monitoring your fire, it can escape and burn properties, farms, homes, and even the wildlife habitat and other crops. In terms of cacao, for example, which is a very valuable, and farmers really invest a lot in these crops. And so if you have somebody burning it, you lose a lot and you lose your livelihood. And we have some experiences. We have some farmers who have went through that as well.
Yeah, in 2001 as well. Sorry, we had Hurricane Iris. Everybody recalled it hitting the south. In 2003, all the debris that had been left from Hurricane Iris was completely dried. So we had an instance where a farmer was doing his regular routine. He didn't pay attention to his fire. It escaped and it burned a large tract of area. Yeah. Right now it looks sort of white whenever you pass down south because it's limestone. There's not much soil on it. So that's what triggered us back then in terms of creating an awareness program in terms of the use of fire. So at this event, we'll be promoting better fire management practices. Some of the recommendations that we gave is that you burn like early in the morning, so there isn't an increase in temperature, and burn whenever there's less wind. You burn against the wind as well. So if you were to burn with the wind, it would just escape, and you can't control it. And you have at least six person assisting you to control the fire. So what we are trying to prevent is that we're trying to prevent fires escaping into forest. We've done studies on it that it just escapes into the forest, and I think it's just a matter of not looking after the fire after you've burnt, thinking that it's completely burnt and it's not going to escape. So that's one of the reasons why we do this event, is that we're trying to raise awareness of the better fire management practices.
Is it a challenge to do, because it's such a normal part of traditional farming for the people of the community there?
Yeah, it is a challenge, and we realize as well that cultures do change. Yeah. And if it changed for the best, then there is a need to have it been done, no? So we are working with these communities slowly in terms of reaching to that stage, because the forest provides many benefits to the communities and even to the international community as well, because everywhere there's reduce in the amount of forest around the world. So we're trying to protect forests, and we're trying to have the farmers plant forests within their farm as well, which includes the cacao-based agroforestry.
And of course, there's the population increasing within the communities in Toledo as well. And the more people we have, the more land that is required, in terms of cultivating the food, the staples. And even as well, a lot of market is there as well in terms of, processing and taking that corn into Guatemala or somewhere else. So you require to convert a lot more land into doing, corn and pepitos, for example. That requires, burning the land. But what we are saying is that you can do a lot of farming, which is like integrating farming system, where you can do agroforestry, which is friendly to environment. You can also do vegetables. You can also do corn within a plot which you call the alley cropping using leguminous trees, and where you can plant your corn in between those rows of leguminous trees. And of course, that tree will help build the topsoil and build the mulch on the soil, and then thereby getting higher yield from that small area. And you use that area year after year instead of moving into new forest. Yeah.
Now, will you be doing demonstrations on these at the Farmers Expo coming up this weekend?
There will be a lot of displays. We have educational booth where we have some small little models of what an Inga alley crop looks like, and also in terms of bees, how does a swarm of bees look like in a box, and how do you'll
keep it in the box,
right, in a glass box, so you can be able to see right through it, and how do they work in terms of that. And then of course some honey, which we invited about 10 farmers to come and display their honey, the vegetables, fresh organic vegetables from the farm. And of course, we are expecting that people come support these farmers, buy their products and during that event.
What has been the biggest challenge in terms of getting farmers to make that almost paradigm shift?
Yeah. One of the key challenges is basically the understanding of how best we can, be friendly, in terms of using better agriculture practices in our environment. How can we, help improve the quality of water? How can we continue to have that fresh air, fresh water flowing through our community? I think the understanding of how we are affected in terms of climate change, in terms of our own actions as well. And also, it's a tradition that has been practiced, way back. And of course, with the increase of population and of course the changes happening right now and the availability of land as well to farmers, it poses a challenge as well for them. Yeah,
one of the way we tackle that challenge is that we invite these farmers, these communities that we work with, to do an exchange visit. So recently we took some farmers to Honduras to see what an Inga alley cropping is like. A lot of the farmers that we're working with, they're elderly people, and they need to be convinced of the things that they want.
It's worked for them for years and years and years. How do you tell them something different, right?
Yeah, so they want to see something in action. They want to see something productive. We've established some demonstration farm within our area, which is the Magulin landscape. So it's that change in the attitude and behavior. But yeah, we do realize that we need to up our game. We have started it already. Peer-to-peer exchange visit is an important part of the success in terms of working with farmers, because I can tell you something and you say, oh, why should I believe you? You're an outsider. But if
or you
have
don't farm.
Yeah, you don't have a farm.
Yeah, I think the peer-to-peer works really well in terms of taking the group of farmers to that farmer, and then he explains his approach, his techniques that he's applying in his farm. And so hopefully during this event we're going to share out all of these information so that we get, what we've seen is that increased interest in adopting these environmental friendly practices.
So this event, the Farmers Expo, which takes place this weekend, is for the farmers that you've been working with to showcase their produce, right?
One of the main things, showcase their produce, but also as well recognize 3 farmers who have been adopting these environmental friendly farming practices. And these farmers will be awarded cash prizes and also equipments and material prizes for them that they to improve and continue adapting these farming techniques. And we have extension officers who went in and did the assessment in each of the farms, and we looked at key criteria such as good soil, water, and fire management within their farms. And so hopefully that
so that's your Farmer of the Year?
Yes, that is Farmer of the Year last year.
Oh, last
Mr.
year?
Santiago Cus from San Miguel. And he was really good. He have a good cacao farm. He has alley crop. You have different aspects of the farm which we were looking at. And of course, we use his farm as a farmer of his school area where we take farmers to learn what he's doing. And this year, we have another 3 farmers who will be awarded this. And Yaaxche consider these farmers as a farm. These are farm models. Their farm becomes, recognized as farm models where you can come in, anyone who is interested in looking what agroforestry look like, an integrated farming system look like, they come in and look at that and be able to learn from there.
It's also a great community event. You have things like your football marathons.
Yes.
You have to have football marathons, of course.
The event, actually, we joined force with the PTA of Golden Stream, which is the Parent Teachers Association, and they will be fundraising for the school and for the community project. All the profits, everything that they fundraise goes and stays within their community. And of course, we rotate them in the different communities we work with. This time around, it's Golden Stream, and they have been organizing a football marathon. They've been doing all sorts of different small games where we can compete. Of course, they will have hot food, delicious food, and they will have drinks on sale during that day. And of course, if you are feeling hot for that time, you can go into the pool, which is a natural pool right there in the Golden Stream River, and you can go and refresh yourself. And also in terms of our activities, our main event for that day in terms of Yaaxche, we will be doing the bicycle race, which starts in Golden Stream, goes about 44 miles long, go to all the way to Trial Junction and back. And of course, we get the beach cruiser bike, and because in the communities, it's really good, and we get a lot of participants every year, and of course, we're looking forward to more people as well. And we're saying that, okay, beach cruiser bike, simply because, our people there, they can't afford those big, racer bikes. So let's stick to the local bikes that we have.
To get them to participate fully and to feel as a part of it.
Definitely, and that's what we are looking at. And also, when they do come in and register for the activity, they give a message and say, okay, this is a message I want to give for the people in terms of building awareness against forest fire. Nice. And also there are several other activities
like the sack race.
Yeah, sack race, lime and spoon for kids. So we try to incorporate for adults, for kids, and also for farmers as well, and both men and women.
So it's a family day with all kinds of activities, food, and of course you also get to see some of the educational information you'll have out there, but also the produce that the farmers are actually making.
Actually having from their farm.
And it happens this Sunday?
This Sunday, yeah, starting at 9.
At the school grounds?
At the school grounds, yeah.
That's right. All right,
yeah,
great.
And as well, we want to mention that we have a guest speaker as well. He's Mr. Philip Valderramos. He's one of the pioneers in establishing Yaaxche in 1998. So we have him as our guest speaker at the event. So yeah, he has been supportive of the work that we're doing ever since, and we are very pleased to have him as our guest speaker at the event.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much, and best of luck with your Farmers Expo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by visual artist Adriana Smith, so stay tuned.